Republican side. And Congressman Sherman, who's joining us now, I believe also is a yes on this vote. But Congressman, first, thank you for your time today. But we know that your entire party is not along with you. There are plenty of progressives who have said they will vote no on this deal. I just wonder if they're sending the wrong message to Democratic voters not siding with the president on this thing.
I think they want to express themselves. People will remember, for the most part, whether the deal passed or not, and it is going to pass. And I think a number of people are going to vote no to say that they didn't like the process, and they don't like many aspects of the bill. But I think there are far fewer that actually want the bill to fail. So I think when all is said and done, if you see 50 or even more no votes, maybe half of those would have changed to yes if their vote had been needed.
It depends who you ask, of course, as always, as to whether this is a good deal or not. There are members of the Freedom Caucus saying that Speaker McCarthy got rolled. As more time goes on, though, Congressman, it does seem that President Biden, while having not been talking a lot about it in the media, actually secured a pretty good hand for the Democratic caucus. You obviously agree if you're voting yes.
Well, I'm voting yes, not because I would vote for this bill if it wasn't necessary to raise the debt limit. But failure to raise the debt limit would not only impact the portfolios of everyone listening and 320 million Americans, it would probably cause a worldwide recession. And I mean, when you can visualize what happens to people trying to make it on 2 meals a day, living on $1 a day in some of the poorest parts of the world, it's very hard to vote against this deal.
As Joe alluded to, the president being less vocal on this, we haven't heard as much from him, it seems, as we have heard from Speaker McCarthy. And during the negotiations, it was arguably the Republicans that were much more vocal. It seems like McCarthy and McHenry and Graves were gaggling every 2 seconds. How do you view the administration's handling of this entire process, Congressman?
We want the deal to pass. We don't want to do a victory dance before the game is over. I think you'll hear an awful lot more from the president next week as we point out some of the difference between what the Republicans originally proposed and what's in this deal.
Are you concerned at all about the Senate, or if this gets through the House, we're pretty much done?
I could imagine the Senate somehow pushing this to June 6th instead of June 5th. But I have little doubt that it's going to pass the Senate.
Well, I ask you that because there is an effort by Senator Tim Kaine to strip this pipeline, the MVP pipeline that Senator Manchin got inside the bill that crosses West Virginia. The White House seemed to think this was a good chip to play here. They said it was 95% approved, but Tim Kaine says he wants to kill the pipeline. Would you consider that a good idea or a dangerous one with so little time?
We're talking about the risk of a worldwide recession with increased debts in every poor country and hungry Americans on the streets of the United States. The one pipeline seems less significant than that.
I think we read you.
Yeah. Well, as we talk about recession risk, Congressman, obviously there has been a lot of analysis of this package, the economic toll that it would take. And our economists here at Bloomberg Economics are talking about how this could shave 0.5% off of GDP by the end of 2024. It could mean the equivalent of 350,000 additional job losses. And of course, that would coincide with a Federal Reserve that still is potentially going to continue to hike rates this summer. Would you like to see the Fed pull back here because we are going to start to see spending cuts and spending caps affect the economy?
I think Powell's got a difficult job. I wouldn't make a decision on how to vote until right before the meeting. When you see all the data that exists before that meeting, it's a close call, and all the argument is on a quarter point one way or the other. It's hard to have an opinion that's stronger than the experts on that.
We're spending some time with Congressman Brad Sherman, the Democrat from California. I want to get on the Wayback Machine with you for a moment here, Congressman, because we learned today that Harvey Pitt, who, of course, led the Securities and Exchange Commission through a tumultuous 18-month period, died today. He's died at 78 years old. And I remember, amazingly, and went back to rewatch the House Financial Services Committee hearing with Chairman Pitt. In the wake of the Enron bankruptcy, 9/11 had also just happened. This is February 4th of 2002. He was new on the job, and a somewhat younger Congressman Brad Sherman on that panel had a question for him, several in fact, but I just want to play this and bring you back for a moment.
What is the largest increase that you could imagine that you would need to do everything possible to give us the maximum possible confidence in our financial and capital markets?
I'm going to answer what I think the substance of your question is, but I have to start by telling you I don't think there's a number big enough to give us what you're asking. I just don't think it is possible for a government agency to provide a guarantee of the entire system.
I didn't ask for guarantee. No, I know, I just said, what would it take to do the best job that could be done?
I just love this exchange, Congressman, because you could also have it again today. And I wonder, with everything going on today, you've joined us to talk about everything from FTX to crypto and some very difficult times here in the financial services sector. If that is still, in fact, the question worth asking.
I think it's not just a matter of staffing the SEC. It's a matter of having accounting rules that make sense and enforcement that makes sense. We now have a deal on all proper auditing for Chinese-based companies. We need to change, particularly the regulatory accounting for banks that have unrealized losses due to interest rate changes. But we also need to have an SEC that's robust, and they react well to leads but they don't even try to go on the internet and find the scams that are out there. So I think they do a better job of protecting Wall Street than they do protecting the dark alleys off Main Street.
I appreciate your dancing with us on that, Congressman Brad Sherman, the Democrat from California. He's a yes, Kaylee. We found a D and an R. We live to see another day.